for tonight.
I'm Morey White.
I'm Tracey White.
And I'm Pastor Johnny Leckie, and this is the, what's this thing called again? Oh, the Compass Conversation Podcast.
Woohoo!
We will follow you. You have the name above every name. We will follow you, King Jesus. You're out of coffee.
I'm not really sure. We're back on, by the way.
Oh, hey!
Are we out of coffee?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you want me to go get
No.
you some? I better start that.
No, it's
timer.
too late, man. It's too late.
It's too late.
I'm tired. is
Why
the thing.
did you not
started
get
today?
any sleep?
Well, even though we had the day off today, and it was wonderful, Leon and I wanted to get outside. We wanted to not just sit around the house all day, which was a great idea. So we got all ready and not gussied up, but we got cleaned up, and we had some work to do unrelated, to me being at the school or anything. But she had some stuff she wanted to finish. So we said, why don't we get out of the house? And so we loaded our laptops and stuff into backpacks and got our water bottles, and we walked. We picked a Starbucks, and we walked hiking through trails through the park and all the way over. And then when we got there, we got some lattes and stuff and did some work there. But then we had to walk all the way back.
That's the hard part.
And it's been
Walking back.
it's usually not a big deal for me, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of it. So I'm just kind of feeling it. It's that deal where you finally get back and you sit down and you're like, I'm about to fall asleep now.
I hear ya.
So I'm not all here. So,
But,
I'm here.
In his defense, and we both we were sick last week.
You're on this.
Oh, I'm over here. We
Dude,
were
I'm
sick last
on it.
week. Tracy is way on it. I just want to say I love my brother. I truly do.
I love my
you,
brother
man.
too.
But
Awesome.
yeah, so we had some days that we were sick.
Yeah.
Both of us missed some work,
Yep.
which is blessing and bad at the same time. I literally was that Thursday, I guess?
I think so,
literally slept all night,
Wow.
got
All
up
night?
to send a text, and went back to bed and did not get out of bed till 6:30 in the evening.
Oh my.
Literally,
Well, you needed that sleep, man.
I must have.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel much better.
I don't want to
How
put
about you?
everybody else to sleep, watching this, but.
So we're trying to get.
But yeah, that's true. I forgot. This week I missed a day. I was sick. Been recovering, but.
Well,
feel good
I was
about
off
it.
today, but I did a little honey-do list stuff. Not a whole lot, but some. Kind of lazed around a little bit. Got on chess.com.
Oh, chess.com.
Chess.com
Chess.
and climbing up the rankings there. I'm sure I'm going to hit that ceiling real soon because the players are getting pretty good.
They're smarter than all of us, Tracy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's keeping his mind sharp whenever we're sitting there drooling and not even know who we
Trying
are.
to stay awake.
Trying to.
He's
yeah.
going to be. You're Johnny. You're Morey.
Oh,
You guys are old.
You guys are old.
All that to say, I'm a little sleepy. I'm hoping you guys can carry the podcast tonight. So,
I started.
Let's talk about things.
I usually do my workout before the podcast. I'm gonna have to do it after tonight because I've slacked off that much today that it got around to this time and it's like, oh,
I forgot to work out.
dinner's ready and podcast. So I'm gonna work out afterwards.
Oh, but nobody says that we have to go long here tonight. I showed that yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yesterday was great. It was really nice to have some guests.
It was fun, yeah.
There.
Very
Meet some
cool.
new people.
Love
So
that.
that was great.
Yeah, as always, it's great to have new faces, and at base camp of all things, one of my favorite gatherings is the base camp gathering.
It's a lot
it
more
was kind of
intimate.
fun.
It's pretty intimate the way we have our conversation and
Yeah.
and sometimes it ends up being a conversation.
I just really got the air rolling too. Did you guys hear that?
Oh, hey, please stand by.
So freeze.
Are we frozen?
Probably don't have to.
I don't freeze very well.
Did I not turn that off? I'm pretty sure I turned that off.
There we go.
And suddenly all the sound is even clearer and better.
It is.
What do you know?
You won't have to do much on the audio processing with the thing off, which is good.
Yeah.
So today
So today.
is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
It is. And I think it ties in, the message of today, it all ties in together because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he talked about treating each other with dignity and respect,
Yeah.
which is part of how we can love each other.
Yeah.
It's part of that. And, it got me to thinking about Jesus, when he died on that cross. He wasn't thinking about, I'm brown, so I'm not going to love that white guy over there.
Right.
Or
My
I'm not
goodness.
going to love
Right.
this darker person over here. Or this person who has a little bit of shade of red. Or something like that. Instead, he died for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is him showing his great love. Because it says, God so loved the world that he gave his only son.
Yeah.
So God loved all of us, the
All
world.
of us, right, yeah.
Agreed.
So I think today we should celebrate our differences because
Yeah.
that's what makes us unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
And love each other for them.
That's right.
And love each other.
And love each
Absolutely.
other
Love,
just
love,
like,
love.
Love.
Like God loves us.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to take away from any of the specifics of Dr. King, but what a great man! What an amazing time that was. It's before my time, but I'm thankful for the efforts that he made. I mean, it's an interesting point you just made, Morey, as a reminder to anyone out there who may not understand this. But yeah, Jesus wasn't a white guy on this planet. He's a Middle Eastern Jewish man.
That's
Palestine. But anyhow, but but it does,
And he loves us anyway.
He loves us anyway. That's right. He loves us all. There's so many shades.
Oh,
of,
I know.
it's just like, do you guys remember that old song by DC Talk called "Colored People"?
Yes.
Oh, love
I
it.
do.
Love
That
that.
was awesome, man.
love
I
that
miss
song.
DC Talk.
Describing God as the ultimate artist and the many shades of skin color and stuff. But anyway,
Right.
we're digressing. Let's talk about yesterday a little bit. Unless you guys had something else you want to.
No, I think yesterday would be a good conversation because, we talked about sin, and we talked about sin, and then natural progression. We talked about love.
Sin to love.
Sin to love. Because I think it's important to understand. The first question in our spiritual journey for the year that you asked was, does your sin bother you? Right?
Yes, right.
And then the second one, and I'm going to phrase it wrong, is your love growing, basically. Right?
You do have a growing love
You
for
have a
others.
growing love for others.
What was that?
Well, you said it was close. Come on.
Yeah, do I have a growing love for others?
So we
Yes.
talked about love, and I thought that was that's really important to see that progression.
Well, yeah. I mean, love.
You know,
God's
that's-
love is a response to the problem of our sin.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So Romans 5:8 we talked about. God demonstrated His love for us while we were yet sinners. Christ died for us. So, yeah. So it's a good progression. I mean,
Yeah, and we're we are His creation.
yeah.
He loves us very, very much.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, how much does He love us?
He loves us so much that he sent his only son. Actually, John 3:16 did come up.
It did.
During the lesson.
We actually read it in the lesson.
We did.
And more, you've been talking about it like
Every
week to
podcast.
week.
John
Yeah.
3:16. We got to get you a rainbow wig. And you just in the
sign.
podcast just turn and go like that with the sign, John 3:16.
But that was part of several scriptures that we read, this Sunday, and that was pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was fun because we mentioned John 3:16, and I also mentioned Morey.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah, that's true. Well, the whole first part of that message, I just wanted to pause. I'd actually intended to say a little bit more about this the week before, but just how important it is that for us to truly love others, we need to be the recipients of God's love and experience His love. And then you're not mustering up, I guess that's how you say it, or trying to work yourself up into loving people.
Yeah.
the more you're really experiencing the love of God, the more that begins to overflow, and you can't help but love other people.
You know, you told a really good story, which was the perfect analogy for this concept. But let me read the verse first real quick. It says, "But God proves his own love for us in that while we were still sinners,
Yeah.
Christ died for us." Okay. Did it stop?
Nope.
Nope. Still running?
We're paranoid about the recording.
We are.
now.
Hey, no attention to me, man. You keep on a roll.
Go ahead,
The
man.
guy behind the curtain. So God has already shown us what that is, what that love is, because God is love, by showing us who he is, what he is. Then he's already given us that example
Yes.
to live by. You had a perfect analogy for that, about the plane ticket.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. My brother. You want me to tell that story again?
Could you?
Oh,
'Cause
no,
it's a good one.
You only can be at church and tell those stories.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's right.
You know what?
I'm kidding.
You get the in-depth look at everything only if you.
No. My brother years ago was at a youth camp. He was in North Carolina. And while he was at youth camp, my grandmother passed away. And he was there. We didn't have a lot of money, and he was just freaking out about how was he going to fly back in the middle of the week to be a part of this funeral. And there was someone who kindly just bought his plane ticket for him. And that just meant the world to him. And he came back, and he was a part of the funeral. And that was a very meaningful thing. And then decades later, my son, Matthew, hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I know you're not watching.
Why would he not? I could sit here and
he's
say,
busy
hi,
doing
Mom
stuff.
and Dad. I know they're going to
All
say
right.
hi back.
No, he's not watching. But anyway, Matthew, he was working at a camp during the summer in California. And while he was there, my father passed away. And my brother Bill, when he heard that Matthew was at this camp, while his grandfather had passed away, he immediately made that connection without any hesitation. He said, I'll buy his ticket and fly him home. And so he flew Matthew back to Texas, where we were, to be a part of Matthew's grandfather's funeral. And the point of that was once you experience something deeply, it's not, again, you don't have to work it up. You don't have to, nobody has to coax you. You immediately make the connection. And that reminds me of that long phrase that I didn't memorize, but I can read it. but I'm going to read it real quick if you guys don't mind.
We don't mind.
All right, so
It's a good place to do it.
let me make sure I can find everything else I got.
Almost live.
Yeah, we can take a
Almost
nap
live.
off screen.
Yeah.
Let's see. With the love of God, you begin to see others the way that God sees others, because you see yourself in others and remember how God sees you.
One more time. Because there's some back and forth.
All right,
Do we
here
need
it
to
is.
draw this?
No.
With the love.
Yes.
When we're talking about God's love to us, with the love of God, you begin to see others the way that God sees others, because you see yourself in others. I like what you guys, in others, and then you remember how God sees you. So it's not just, yeah.
It's a little complicated.
Who's on first?
But I
Well,
think when you
I
grasp
guess
it, it
probably
makes sense.
the simple way, I suppose I probably should have said it, is it's not just trying to see others the way God sees others.
Right.
It's like when you really experience the love of God, you do see other people the way God does, because you're starting to see them, and as you see them, you remember how you were, right? And so you see yourself in them.
Yep.
See, that kind of cracks me up. I'm sitting here thinking, God created the earth, he created man and woman, and he said, okay, love. And they stood there and looked at each other.
What's that look like? Yeah, that's not how.
I'm so glad it didn't happen like that.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
have it like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I'm saying. That was the point. I mean, again, and we mentioned this past couple of weeks, that what we've been talking about is asking ourselves these questions about what's our next step in growing spiritually.
Right.
And first we need to start getting serious about the sin in our life. And these are, again, they're like little red lights on your dashboard on the car.
Cold dummy lights.
Dummy lights.
Dummy lights.
That's our dummy lights.
They're the things that say something is wrong. And if you haven't got a growing love for others, and again, I say a growing love because none of us are perfect. We're going to all struggle, But I mean, if you've just grown cold and hard-hearted, you're not growing. Mm-hmm. Not only you're not growing in love, you're not growing spiritually. You're not becoming like Christ. And so, anyway, the way to do that is not to say, put that on your New Year's resolutions. I need to start loving people more, although that's fine. It's to truly allow God to display His love to you and to reflect on that and realize how much you've been forgiven, and it changes completely how you begin to see other people.
You've mentioned before that it truly is, I don't want to say against our nature. Well, it kind of is in that, left to our own, we would look inward.
Yeah.
Only inward.
Sure.
And, we're talking about a concept that is outward looking.
Yeah.
And it is a little against what we feel like doing sometimes.
It's not our
says,
it's not our nature. It's not what we naturally do. That's right.
No, we're, survival.
But here's the crazy thing. The crazy thing about it is that when you begin to, as Jesus said, lose your life, right? And you begin to focus this way, you begin to gain your life.
Mm. Yes.
It's that idea of the deep needs you think that you're trying to satisfy will honestly really only be met by doing things the way Jesus calls us to. And that's begin to become like Him and begin to love others. It's just weird. I mean, we probably focus too much on our own issues, problems most of the time anyway. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, because you should. That's part of the whole idea of asking these questions and things, right?
Sure.
A little introspection. We need to stop and do a gut check, heart check. But sometimes the worries, the anxieties, and the things that many of us deal with can best be met by beginning to reflect the love of God to other people.
That's kind of what I was thinking about. Sometimes we get real passionate about how we feel about something, and then our approach to a certain subject or whatever might be considered, I don't know, less than friendly, maybe even hostile.
Yeah.
I don't like that, and you're going to hammer that home, and so this portion of our thought process, in our spiritual walk, has got me thinking more and more of, okay, I do feel passionate about certain things. When that comes up again, I'm trying to be as vague as possible.
Sure. No, I get it. That's best to do.
whenever something comes up again, how am I going to handle that in a way that glorifies God?
Right.
And shows love, the love that He's shown us, me personally, right? Us personally, to the person I disagree with,
Yeah.
So again, it's a pretty hard exercise, especially when you feel very passionate about something.
Yeah.
Right? And the other person feels very passionate about their stance on something as well. But I think, exercising that love, that doesn't mean compromising your,
No.
your beliefs or whatever. But the way we treat people should be with that ultimate love, So
that's great, Tracy. I mean, I'm thinking you have to remember that it's a person you're talking to. It's one thing to have like a theoretical discussion, just sort of out there that doesn't have anything to do with anybody in particular, and people can anonymously put their thoughts on something in some kind of discussion thread or something, which you probably shouldn't get bogged down in that kind of stuff anyway. But when you're talking with a person, and this was very, very helpful to me. I had a guy years ago say that as pastors, and we're teaching and we're preaching, that there's some who, how do I say what he said best? Here's the line, and then I think you guys will get it. It says there's a difference between teaching the Bible to people and teaching people the Bible.
Okay.
Okay, now here's what he meant by this. Is that there are some guys who get up and they say, boom, 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 this is what it said, believe it or don't. Boom, done, mic drop. Right? And
Don't
just,
drop that.
I taught the Bible. I did it.
Yeah.
But pastors and anyone who is a follower of Jesus needs to have the heart that they're talking to people and they really want them to understand the Bible. So sometimes this happens with us on Sunday, not as much, but definitely over the years, I have been trying to share a point and I can see on the faces they're like not getting it. And so I go, it's like this, and then I'll throw in something else. It might not have even been in my notes, but it's not. It's because I want them to understand.
Right.
So in other words, I'm not like, the Bible is the foundation. I'm not going to twist the Bible. I'm not going to change it because they're not understanding it. So I guess I'll just change the Bible for you.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean.
Right.
But I want them to be able to understand it. So what I'm saying is, we have to know the Bible really well. We need to understand it and how it works and what it's about and what it's saying. But when we're sharing it with others, we don't just hit them with it and just say, I said it, that's all I need to do. Because that communicates, I don't even care whether you get this right.
Yeah.
So what's helpful about that, and particularly with issues and things, is to remember who you're talking to. I had an old friend from high school I reconnected on Facebook with about 7 or 8 years ago. Brilliant dude, doctor. He had created, we graduated from high school. This guy's like this brilliant dude who, created a device that helps hearts and things, became, really wealthy. And he's a surgeon and atheist. And so he begins to post these things and something about origins of the earth and that sort of thing. And so I just knew him and we were friends for a long time. And he asked me a question about something and my basic response was, well, this isn't the kind of thing that I would get into on a Facebook. This is the kind of conversation I would have with a friend over coffee, two friends talking together, because we care about each other.
Yes.
Right? The issue is vitally important, but if I wanted that guy to ever understand, I knew it would never happen with a back and forth on Facebook. Yeah. But if I was able to sit and talk with him, because I cared about him as a human being, and I knew kind of how he thinks. I mean, Paul did this all the time in Scripture. He would meet people where they were, and he wouldn't change the message, but he would talk in a way that they understood. So in Acts on Mars Hill, there's all of these, phony gods that they're around, and even the one that's to an unknown God in case they missed one, right? And so Paul's, men of Athens, he just kind of addresses them. It's kind of like saying, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but basically, I see you are all very interested in gods. I want to speak to you today about the one to whom you do not even know. And he points to this thing, right? The unknown God. And so that's what he always like. I become all things to all people, that by all means I might reach some. Yeah. So anyway, that's a heart that cares about people but doesn't compromise the truth. So anyway, whatever that's worth.
Well, believe it or not, Tracy and I have had some disagreements.
Once.
I know, just
what? Wait, we're brothers and you don't agree on everything?
Right. So, but there was always the underlying love. And I got to say, that came from when we were younger. It still came from God, but it was through my parents who then showed us. And it overflowed between the two of us in that even whenever, he was swinging and I'd bonk him on top of the head. That's how I used to make him stop. Just
I think I'd disagree with you too.
But, well, that's how we'd stop the argument.
Yeah.
Bonk.
It was like, okay, we're done. Boom. But
As a little
yeah,
boy.
that love.
I can tell you stories.
Love was never in question.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's
it's
good.
okay to disagree.
I did not use this quote. I might use it Sunday, but I want to, just because it goes along right when.
Is this a spoiler?
No, it's not. It's all over the internet anyway.
Oh.
Pastor.
Big Sunday coming up. Oh. Spoiler alert.
This is a great quote by Pastor Rick Warren. And I'll just read it to you real quick. He says, "Our culture has accepted two huge lies." Have you guys heard this quote?
I have.
Okay, our culture has accepted two huge lies. The first is that if you disagree with someone's lifestyle, you must fear or hate them. The second is that to love someone means you agree with everything they believe or do. Both are nonsense. You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate.
That's
There
true.
you
Just
go.
a great quote. We don't have that. I mean, that's not really what we've been talking about, but it is in essence, particularly as we've had people visiting and having different perspectives and things. It's okay to not agree with everything, and you can still be a part of Compass Church,
Absolutely.
right?
That's true, yeah.
We don't have to agree on everything, but we
We
are.
don't care what political party.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. But I mean, it doesn't mean we don't have different views. I mean, it's okay to hold those. But I guess the thing is that the love needs to trump all. It needs to be above all of those
right.
things, and we can agree to disagree on certain things, but we want to agree on the most important things, right? So it can be unified. But
Do you think a lot of
I'm
times
talking
people,
a lot for being half awake.
Yeah, you're doing well.
I'm a little
John.
nervous
I
that
thought-
maybe I'm.
No.
I'm going to wake up in the morning and go, wait, what did I say?
Great stuff.
I'm barely awake.
I like it.
I think it's possible, people have an issue with separating an action away from a person.
Yeah.
And seeing that they're actually two different things, a behavior versus a human being.
Yeah, that is definitely often the case.
Yeah, if somebody's a murderer, that doesn't mean that they're not a human being.
Yeah, right. I like that we keep mentioning murderers.
I did.
It's like he did last week. Last week.
last
he did
week, yeah.
I think it's like the safe zone. It's like, I'm not sure I know any murderers, so let's
Yeah.
throw that one out there.
How about liars? Because we're liars and
Oh, no,
that's-
liars.
oh, no.
Yeah, that's right.
my mom.
You know what? Just
used to
call it
say,
what it is.
You know where
How about
liars end up? In the lake of fire.
sinners, okay? Look, we'll just wrap it all up in one
Can I
big-
just say, only one sin is going to separate people from God forever.
That's for
There's
sure.
only one,
Only one.
and that's rejecting
Yeah.
Christ. So
Right.
that's all the rest are bad.
Yeah.
And they all lead that direction without him, but it's not one or the other. But anyhow, some have bigger consequences, like
Well, sure.
murderers. You might spend the rest of your life in prison.
There's hope for you, but you are going to pay the
But while
price,
you're here,
know?
you're gonna, how do we get off on this? So anyway, love is what we were talking about. I will say this. Whenever Leon and I knock heads, which does happen, as you guys have heard here recently, probably more in the past year than the past 5. I'm
Oh,
not sure
boy.
what's going on. We're all good. I love my wife. She's watching right now for
I heard.
sure. And I love you, baby. No, anyway, but whenever we have any kind of argument or whatever, after the cool down sort of happens, the most important thing is not about being right, it's about restoring the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes you do reach an impasse and you're just not going to get it together on the same page right away. Down the road, or maybe sooner, we'll be talking about relationships and marriage and that sort of thing too. But you do need to have some parameters that you set up in your marriage about what happens when you reach that impasse. Because you can't go like this.
Yeah.
You're a thing divided. It causes all kinds of problems. But
true.
love says, I'm going to restore the relationship first. So I can be dead right and dead wrong at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I might be right about the thing that we were talking about, but I'm just destroying the relationship.
Yeah.
So I always, and it's usually me, I have to... It's usually me. I have to, Whether, and often, and I'm wrong, sometimes I'm very wrong on things. But there have been times when I've been right about something, but I knew either the way I was being right about it was unloving.
Right.
So I was wrong. Right? Right? Wrong, right?
Oh, that's happened. Yeah.
So anyway, to bring that full circle is just to say, and we haven't really talked too much about how do we express the love that we have. We've really been just trying to say, once you get the loving heart thing, some of these things kind of begin to work themselves out because you already know how you should respond in that situation. But we're not talking about how to flesh it out so much, but how are you? Once you get you right. Oh, and again, Jesus, the beam in the eye thing.
Yeah.
Sort out your own stuff.
That's right.
And you'll be able to deal with those things. Yeah. But caring about people answers a lot of questions. It answers a lot of problems about how to deal with issues that are frustrating. And, speak the truth in love, Scripture says. If we can't speak the truth in love, we might need to hold back on the truth and just love. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of a hard saying. Yeah. And there's a lot to be unpacked there. But, anyway, I'll let it stand.
You know what saved everything, though? John 3:16.
John 3:16, you say?
Yes.
Rainbow wig. Here's the sign.
Here's the sign. No,
awesome.
Here's your sign.
I keep mentioning it. And I keep, is it on me again?
Yes.
Might as well be.
It is.
Now for a moment on John 3:16.
John 3:16. I want to explain. Okay, I say it over and over and over.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's important.
Fantastic.
But there came a time where God opened my heart and I understood it. And I cried for a day and a half. So hopefully you'll get to experience that.
Was it crying for a day and a half?
The crying for a day and a half. You finally get it.
Just experiencing God's love is the thing.
But then I understood it.
Yeah.
That changed a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, once we know love, that's when we begin to express it. It doesn't really work the other way around. We have a form of it when we just try it the other way around. But it's knowing and fully experiencing God's love that gives us the ability to love. I know I've said it like 4 different ways.
I'd still be crying, but I'm manly.
You're a manly man.
Whatever you say, bro.
Whatever.
So I'll share one more verse of Scripture. I think we're about out of time. Right?
We are.
We're close.
That's pretty much...
or the longer we go, the less
time there is left.
There is to work out.
Hey, that's true. Maybe you won't get to work out tonight.
I gotta go to the store.
Oh, the store.
Gotta get ready for that vacation.
Oh, you have a vacation coming up.
He's got that coming up.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to read one thing, but I don't know. Editing video right now. This is not actually happening. This big lull.
It is. No, it's happening.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, everybody's watching.
Ephesians chapter 3, verse 16. I pray that he may grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with power in your inner being through his Spirit, and that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. I pray that you, being rooted and firmly established in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the length and width, height, and depth of God's love, and to know Christ's love that surpasses knowledge, so that you may be filled with all the fullness of God.
Mic drop. Just not that one.
We'll talk more about that one later.
Sorry, Dan.
All right.
No actual mics were dropped during the making of this podcast.
I'm barely awake. All right, we are out of time. As we are, right? Yeah. Big Sunday is this Sunday. That means more instruments. We're in the bigger room. It's going to be fun.
The drums. Not all of them.
Most of the drums will be there.
Some of the drums, yeah.
That's right. Every Sunday, Arkansas Elementary School, we meet at 10 a.m. We'd love to have you as our guest this Sunday. All right, guys, is there anything else we need to share before we hit the road tonight?
Love you guys.
Love you too. Love, man.
Love you too.
Love you too. And we're out.
Peace. We're going to sound like the 60s.
Peace, baby.
Peace,
this is the dawning of Aquarius. Oh, wait.
I am Aquarius.
You Aquarius.